Hi, welcome to episode 334 of your Friday Daily podcast, a couple of things, a podcast about things. Today, I'm going to talk about what to do when you've been invited to observe a research session, especially remotely. Hopefully, the person who invited you has given you information, but if not, I'm going to tell you what to do and how to prepare. Let's get into it. Alright, so the very, very first thing that you need to do before joining a research session, whether in person, whether remotely, is to prepare, i.e., read the plan. There's a research plan. If somehow you've not been involved in the planning process, or the person who is facilitating the session has not shared the research plan with you, ask them for it, read through it so you can understand what the context of what is happening is. Secondly, arrive on time, ideally before the participant, whether virtually or in person, especially when it's in person. Try as much as possible to arrive before the participant so that you don't disorient them when you just walk in, or if you just join the Zoom call or Meet or whatever tool you're using. I know that there are some tools where it allows you to hide observers, but for the situation where that's not the case, don't be late. Basically, if you're going to be late, then just don't join. Okay, maybe not just don't join, but try to keep the disruptions as minimal as possible. Another thing, and I'm sure that your researcher is probably too nice to tell you this, is like, please don't talk. Remember that you are there as an observer. Observers observe. They don't talk. They just observe. If you have questions, let the researcher, the person who is facilitating the session, let them know that you have questions, right? Don't just talk. Don't just interrupt, especially when it's the participant talking, because you're disrupting the flow. Don't try to help the participant, especially if it's a usability testing session where you're like, oh, you can do this, or don't. Like, your job is to observe. Be a silent observer. If you have any questions that you like to follow up on what the participant has said, text that. If it's a virtual setting, text it to the researcher, facilitator. If it's in person, write it on a piece of paper and slide it to them, whatever. But as much as possible, do not talk in the session. And another reason why this is important is that, apart from distracting the participant or disrupting the flow, or like messing up the test if it's a usability testing session, the researcher slash facilitator is better at framing questions. So you may have a good question, but you frame it in a bad way. Maybe it's a leading question, maybe it's a confusing question, like whatever. Like, let the facilitator researcher do their work, which is to ask good questions and so on and so forth. So give your questions to that person, let them reframe it, craft it in a way that works, and that they can weave it into the flow of the conversation. And that leads me to the next point, which is to pay attention. Take notes. Like, yes, you are there to observe, and sometimes our minds can wander away. So a thing that can help you to pay attention when you're observing a research session is to take notes. Write down whatever you observe, write down whatever sticks out to you. And if you want to challenge yourself, you can even try and, like, as much as possible, do a transcript, a live transcription, like a stenographer or somebody that's taking shorthand notes. But the point is, take notes. In that way, you are engaged and present, and that can even help you think of questions that you can ask the researcher to ask the participant for future sessions. And then finally, join the debrief. Usually when there's a research session where it's more than one person present who is like, and there's one participant or whatever, there's more than one person from the team side, so whether it's the researcher and a couple of other people or whoever, there's usually a debrief after the session. And even if there's not one, that's something that you can ask for, like, oh, this is what I observed. The researcher can talk about, and everybody else who was observing can talk about the highlights, insights. And this is especially helpful for methods like rapid iterative testing and evaluation. Is you can discuss, like, oh, what should we change, what should we leave, and things like that. So yeah, in summary, prepare. 2, arrive on time. 3, as much as possible, don't talk. You are a silent observer. 4, pay attention and take notes. And 5, join the debrief and actually contribute to it. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Bye. Oh, yes, it's the end of November. Yay. Tomorrow is the beginning of the last month of the year, and my 31-day countdown to the end of this podcast begins. Yay. Okay. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If there was anything you found interesting or insightful, or you enjoyed the episode, please do share to someone or multiple people. Like, leave a comment, and definitely do subscribe and all the nice things. Bye.